Hello. Um, can anyone hear me or type in the chat that they hear me? That'd be great just to do an initial sound check. Hello. I'm just testing the audio here before we begin. Oh, fantastic. Awesome. Thank you very much, Chelsea. I appreciate it. So, we're here now at 12:20. So thank you for everyone who's tuning in for our test and pilot session for the UAlberta Asset Guided Mindfulness Sessions that we'll be offering to students and alumni. So without further ado, I'll jump right into it. We're going to be doing a 20-minute meditation, followed by a 10-minute Q&A period if anyone has any lingering questions after the meditation. And then that will signal the end of what we do here today. But before we begin, I'll just make a maybe PSA to turn off any smart devices that you might have or put them on silent. Sometimes it's better to turn them off entirely so that you don't get any even vibrating on the desk or buzzing that might distract you during the meditation. I personally have my phone outside of the room so that I don't get distracted. And we'll start to begin our meditation. So the first thing that you want to do is take a comfortable seat wherever you are, and that might be on a chair or on a couch or on cushions on the floor. And if you're sitting in a chair or on the couch, you'll want to try and have an erect posture, ideally away from the back of the chair. In meditation, our outer posture can reflect our inner posture. And what we're trying to cultivate is awareness and alertness. And so if we're slouching, we can tend to fall asleep more easily when we're meditating. And if we're erect, we're more likely to be aware and alert during our meditation. And of course, we want to have a balance of relaxation and alertness going on. And that's something that you'll fine tune as you meditate more and more. So, the next thing we'll do is, if you're comfortable with it, is to just gently close your eyes. So, close your eyes, and the first thing we'll do is just pay attention to our breathing, the sensations associated with it. So we know that there are many sensations that we can feel in our body associated with our breathing. We can feel the air rushing in and out of our nostrils. We can feel the air going through our throats. And we can feel our lungs expand and collapse. And we might feel that in our chest or in our belly. And so we'll sit here for a few moments. And your job is not to change the pace of your breathing at all. It's simply to tune into it wherever it's at right now. And if you notice any tension in your shoulders or your neck, you can feel free to relax the tension there. You might feel some in your upper back, your lower back, your chest or stomach or legs. And you can feel free to relax those areas as well while maintaining this erect posture that embodies integrity while we continue to pay attention to our breathing. And of course, you might inevitably find that your mind wanders while you're trying to pay attention to your breathing. And your job is to just kindly, gently, compassionately redirect your attention back to your breathing, the sensations of breathing. There's no need to be harsh with yourself because thinking is what the mind does. It's its primary function. And so we're working with our mind and working to change our relationship to the mind to one that might be a little bit more healthy. Now we'll want to pick an area in our body where we feel the sensations of our breathing most prominently, or where we feel most comfortable tuning into them. And for many people, that can be one of three places. It can be at your nostrils, where you feel the air going in and out of your nostrils as you breathe in and out. Or it could be your chest as you feel your lungs expand and collapse, and feel your chest do the same. Or lastly, it might be your belly, where you feel it too expand and collapse along with the flow of the breath. And so, if you're comfortable with it, pick one of those three areas, and that's where we'll place our awareness for the rest of the meditation. And again, if your mind has wandered into thoughts about the future or the past, our job is to gently redirect our attention back to the present moment, back to the breathing, wherever we're focusing on it. We're setting aside our preoccupations and concerns that normally occupy our mind and taking this time to be fully present, fully here, and fully with and for ourselves. Now, one thing that you might want to try that can be often helpful in the beginning is to attach mental labels to our breathing. So, saying internally in your mind and labeling the in breath as in and the out breath as out. So, in on the in breath and out on the out breath. In and out. And another way is to number our breaths. So to label them 1 on the in breath, 2 on the out breath, 3 on the in breath, and 4 on the out breath, and so on until you reach 10. And when you reach 10, you go back to 1 for the next breath. And what you'll find is sometimes you'll start counting past 10, and that will be a gentle cue to yourself that you've lost your attention on the breathing. And so that can be a good cue to return back to the breathing. So feel free to use any of those labels if you feel it's appropriate or useful for how you're practicing right now. And we have about 5 minutes left. So we'll do them in mostly complete silence. And if your mind has wandered again, just a gentle reminder to bring it back to your breathing with gentleness, kindness, and compassion. There's no reason to reprimand yourself. And just bring your attention back to the sensations of breathing. And this can really be an arena where we practice being kind to ourselves each and every time we bring our attention back to our breathing. And a place where we might practice this kindness so that we can bring it into our daily lives. So, to end this meditation today, We're just going to do so by taking some deep breaths. So we'll take 5 deep breaths, 5 ins and 5 outs. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And so you can start taking those deep breaths right now. Okay, so maybe wait 15 to 30 seconds just for those who are still coming out of the meditation. So now we'll enter our question and answer period. So if you have any questions about um, meditation or any comments on how today went, what came up for you that you'd like to share, um, or like I said, questions, feel free to post them in the chat. There's a bit of a delay, but I'll be able to see them. And one thing to say is I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you for tuning in to our first um, pilot session for the UAlberta Asset Guided Meditations. Um, Myself and Vanessa Wells, who have been working on this initiative, are so grateful um, that you've tuned in to help work on this with us. And we're so excited to launch to students and alumni on Monday. And if you have any feedback, please feel free to send it either to Vanessa if you know her directly, or to asset@ualberta.ca. That's ASSET@ualberta.ca. But we'll open it up for any questions or comments for anything that came up to you. I'm seeing some thank yous, so thank you very much. It's an honor to be able um, to do this. And oh, thank you, Jody. I wanted to represent the University of Alberta. So thank you. Um, so thank you. My heartfelt thanks to all of you. Um, and any Oh, great. Thank you, Lisa. That's great to hear. Thank you, Vanessa, Chelsea, Emma, Jody, and Lisa for your comments. I'm glad everything worked well on the technology side. We put a lot of work into making sure that this was going to work on the day it did, and I'm glad everything came together. Yes. So thank you, Emma, for the great question. So we'll be offering this again on starting on Monday, and we'll be doing this every weekday for 2 weeks at least, and then we may be continuing on after that, depending on the response. But we're hoping to, I think, continue offering this to students and alumni for as long as meeting virtually meets people's needs. And I hope this is a medium that meets people's needs right now. So again, yes, Monday at the same time, 12:20, and I'll open up the live feed about 10 minutes early each time. Um, any any questions or other questions, or or feedback or thank you, Jody. So that was back in 2012. Um, I um, Thank you, Chelsea. I'm excited too and very nervous, but don't tell anyone. So I started the meditation student group in 2012. That was after I had started meditating, and mindfulness meditation had started to gain a little bit of traction, but it wasn't as ubiquitous as it was now. But I found that there was no student community on campus for sharing the practice with other students, or for students to teach other students, or to facilitate sessions. So I was shy, and initially I waited for a while to see if anyone else would start a student group, and nobody did. And so I decided to start one, and thankfully, at the beginning, sometimes only one person would show up, and sometimes nobody would show up. But eventually, more and more people came, and I remember we started having around 12 to 15 people by the time I was done as president. And then um, I was able to successfully transition the group to someone else. And it's been going on now for 8 years. And I just got in touch with the recent president and vice president. And so that was a unique opportunity. So thank you, Jody, for the question. And thank you for the thumbs up. I see the thumbs up. That's very kind of you. Any other last questions um, before we end the session today? And if you have a question on your mind that you might feel vulnerable asking, it's often a question that other people have too. So I would encourage you to feel free to ask it. Um, uh, Thank you, Jody. The benefits that I've experienced. So they're numerous. The first is stress reduction. Um, on an ongoing basis, as I upkeep my meditation, I notice that I'm less stressed um, in general, and that normal everyday stressors don't get to me as much and don't rattle me as much. Um, I also notice that when I have anxious thinking, because I've been cultivating awareness in meditation in my formal sits during the day, I'm able to catch myself before I might go down an anxious thinking path that might lead to more stress. And so those are some key ways that meditation helps me in my everyday life. Um, it also helps me to be more aware of my actions towards other people, and to be a more kinder, um, gentler, and generous person, which is something that I'm trying to cultivate. Um, and those are kind of benefits beyond stress reduction that I've appreciated. Um, but stress reduction is one of the primary things that I appreciate and I continue to appreciate. Um, and that's why, since I started, I just keep coming back to meditation. How long do you have to start to practice before starting to notice the benefits? So that's a good question. Thank you, Morgan. So sometimes you might notice the benefit immediately when you finish your first meditation, a calmer mind. And uh, it might be something that might evaporate fairly quickly. Um, but for clinically significant benefits, from what I've read, it can be something as simple as 5 minutes a day for a week or 2 weeks. Um, and so that's what I've read in the scientific literature. But even one off meditations can be beneficial because we're able to spend time in the present moment away from our thinking mind, which is usually um, prone to over worrying, overthinking. And by spending time tuning into the present moment via our breathing, it has a calming effect on our mind. And so we can usually experience immediate effects. Um, Now, if you do it on a more consistent basis, like I said, you'll notice even more positive effects as you kind of go throughout your day and notice that stressors are least less likely to get you down, or you're less likely to go down thinking paths that might cause you stress. So, how long do you have to start practice? I can say immediately you can start noticing the benefits. Um, 1 to 2 weeks of consistent practice is something that I would recommend. Um, if you're talking to Buddhist monks, they probably recommend a half hour a day, um, and or at least 20 minutes a day to start out. And so there's a wide variety, but I guess my main message is to start wherever it's comfortable for you. You don't want to run a marathon when you've barely run a few kilometers in real life. You want to start slowly and gently, and you'll find that the more benefit you get out of the practice, the more inclined you are to practice. And it's kind of like a positive feedback loop. Um, so I hope that answered your question in a roundabout way. Does that help you, Morgan? Okay, perfect. Okay, well, thank you everyone for tuning in today. Again, tremendous gratitude for taking the time to do this. And if you'd like to continue to tune in, we'll be here on Monday. We'll probably have a bit of a different setup in our space. We're going to rearrange some of the plants to maybe make us an even more serene looking space. But we'll be back here on Monday to Friday starting next week. So thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope you have a great rest of the day and a great weekend. Thank you so much, everyone.